It's a beautiful day in Norman, Oklahoma. It's Martin Luther King Jr. holiday and a good crowd on hand in the Lloyd Noble Center for the first home opener for the Oklahoma Sooners, the reigning national champions in women's gymnastics. Hi, everybody. I'm Bart Conner, along with my fellow Sooner and fellow Olympian, Kelly Garrison Funderburk. And let's talk about the Sooners last year. They're hanging a banner here for their fourth national championship in 6 years. And last year was one of those magical seasons. They ran the table and were undefeated all year.
It was just incredible. And not only do they do it last year, but they're ready to do it again this year. Every year it amazes me how this coaching staff can pull a team together and prepare them just like no other. I mean, they come out of the gate just 198.25. All the other teams in the country are still kind of pulling it together to hopefully compete with them. I'm really looking forward to watching tonight and the rest of the season to see how it goes. If they can stay up with the hype.
Yeah, that's for sure. Of course, one of their leaders is Maggie Nichols, who is a senior this year. And she was spectacular, two-time NCAA all-around champion. And then just Friday night at Alabama had a superb competition with a perfect 10 on the vault and a score in the all-around of 39.825. That's postseason form already.
It is, and I'm really hoping that she's going to be able to keep that throughout the year. And that's one reason tonight you're going to notice, as you see her here on floor, she's going to be changing up her floor routine just a little bit, and that way it'll rest her legs. It's really smart of the coaches to be able to think about how she has to perform 2 months from now. You can see right here, she's in perfect form for balance beam. She is the go-to. Not only is she in it to win an individual national championship again, but also a team championship. There's no ego for her. She's able to balance both.
So the Oklahoma Sooners have their home opener today in Norman, and they welcome the Arkansas Razorbacks, which is coached by Jordan Weber at just 24 years of age, one of the youngest head coaches in collegiate history. Jordan, a world champion and an Olympian herself. It's going to be a great day. Stay with us.
Stone Television Partners, OU Medicine, Anheuser-Busch, and OU Extended Campus. And our community partners, Landers Auto Group, Devon Energy, Coca-Cola, and OU Medicine.
We're back inside the Lloyd Noble Center here in Norman, Oklahoma, getting set to start this dual meet competition. Quick reminder, in NCAA women's gymnastics, there are 6 athletes on each event for both teams. They count just the best 5 scores on each event for that team. And, of course, the home team event order is what they call the Olympic order, meaning the Oklahoma Sooners will do vault, bars, beam, and floor. The visiting team, the Arkansas Razorbacks, will do bars, vault, floor, and they have to finish on the beam. Final one-touch warm-ups here as we get set to start this competition. Let's go down to the third member of our broadcast team, Meg McDonald.
Hey, Bart, thanks so much. Oklahoma was one of the only teams in the NCAA to successfully put up 6 10-0 start value vaults just last season. More often than not, they were all Yurchenko layout 1.5s. However, that will not be the case today. They'll put up 5 of the 6 due to Olivia Troutman suffering a heel injury in December, guys. But someone to look out for that I'm really excited about is Evie Schofer. She'll follow Maggie Nichols on vault. She does a brand new vault this season that she learned in the offseason. It is a tucked Yurchenko 1.5, and that is also a 10-0 start value, guys.
Thank you, Meg. Well, the athletes are about set to go. We're finishing our final one-touch performances. And there is that tucked 1.5 twist Yurchenko. It's an unusual vault. You don't see it often, but it has the same value as the vault done in the laid-out position. And he has performed it consistently so far. Good crowd on hand. The Sooners are building a real following. Of course, it doesn't hurt to have 4 national championships in the last 6 years. Typically, the Sooners average around there. By the way, KJ Kindler and blue ball children Maggie and Adelaide, 2 gymnasts at Bart Conner Gymnastics, I might point out. And there is KJ Kindler on the right. She is in her 14th season 4 times she has led this team to a national championship. And as you said at the top of the show, Kelly, they seem poised to do it again because even though they graduated some terrific athletes, they still have an incredible team and some new freshmen. And KJ Kindler's expectations are such that, you know, unless you can deliver, she won't even put you out on the floor, will
That's
she?
right. She's not afraid to bench you.
Brooke Wines will be the first vaulter for the Sooners.
Brooke is one of the first vaults that the Sooners have doing just the Yurchenko full, not the 4.5. But this gives her great experience. It's going to help her build to a harder vault in the future.
She's a freshman from Thornton, Colorado. Did her club training at 5280. Which is, by the way, where Yul Moldauer for the OU men's team did his training. Now here is a superstar, just flat out superstar for the Arkansas gym back. This is Jessica Yamzon. She's a senior, and even though she's the most experienced athlete on the team, she leads off every event today and will compete in the all-around.
Well, and you know, Bart, it's hard to score high to win an all-around competition when you are the first girl up. It takes a lot of responsibility. And she has an unbelievable way of just being so consistent, doesn't let the nerves bother. Nice, very hard dismount, a full out, laid out position. Fantastic.
Talk about reliability. She competed in the all-around in every meet of her first 3 seasons. And she opens up for the gym backs well on the bars. Allie Stern is second to go for OU. She's the sophomore from Charlotte, North Carolina. Competed in 10 meets for the Sooners. Career high 9.875. She scored on vault 2 times her freshman year.
Allie really is coming around this season. She looks so much more confident. Last year she was a little apprehensive. Oh, nice vault for her. Little hop on the landing. And perhaps a touch of a pike coming in, trying to find that blind landing. Really close.
We have the score for Brooke Wines. It's a 9.75 to lead off the Sooners there.
That
Allie
seems
Stern's
about
vault
right, yeah.
differently is that it will be judged from a 10, as are the other vaults in this lineup. And that, as Meg had mentioned, has been an advantage for the Sooners the last couple of years because they have been able to put up nearly a full lineup every meet of athletes doing 10.0 start values. And if you get 10.0 start values, you end up getting basically a quarter of a point higher than your competitors in terms of start value. So it gives you a little more room for error.
It's definitely worth it as long as it's safe for the athlete.
Kiara Gianfania now for Arkansas getting set to go. She's the freshman from Brownsburg, Indiana. Did her club training at J.C. Phelps Athletic Training Center. J.C., of course, one of the famed Magnificent 7 Olympians from 1996.
Wow. I'll tell you what, watching Arkansas warm-up bars, they kind of had a rough start in warm-ups. Almost everyone fell during their release move. And so to see them recovering, making the changes physically and mentally, not letting it bother them. She's off to a great routine. Nice half and half out dismount.
Before her, by the way, Jessica Yamzon led them off with a 9.8. You're right. This is normally a good event for Arkansas. Back in 2018, they were superb on bars. They struggled with consistency last year. And, of course, this year, a whole new coaching staff. Mark Cook, who was the first and only coach at Arkansas, retired after 17 seasons. And we go back to the vault. This is Jade Degovea. Allie Stern, before her, a 9.825.
Jade is really on fire this year. If you watch her, she gets some great amplitude, height, and she is just intense. She wants to win, win, win.
We talk about winning. Let's talk about the Riverwind keys to the meet today, Kelly.
Well, you know, both teams are trying to recover. They had 2 competitions within 3 days, and physically that is so hard. You have to make sure you're hydrated, eating the right foods, getting enough sleep, and also mentally. When you're mentally tired, you're more likely to make a mistake. So, interested to see how this team both teams fare in that department. I love seeing them catch that bar.
Sophia Carter for the gym backs on bars here. Really clean execution. By the way, the score for Chiara Gianfagna, a very nice 9.85.
They're starting off excellent. Great scores, great routines. Wow, she just clipped her toes and still was able to land that dismount. What that means is she pulled in just a little bit when she was releasing the bar, and she actually dipped her toes on the bar before she came down and landed. That takes a lot of experience to not kind of freak out, but to be able to land it.
See the scores there so far for the Sooners on vault. Jade Dagobea a 9.9. This brings up Anastasia Webb, the junior from Morton Grove, Illinois, and an outstanding career in her first 2 seasons at OU.
Well, she's had great training in club and then also here.
Oh, nice.
Look at that. I love it. She is so good. And Coach Kindler says, gosh, I wish she knew how good she was. I think she's starting to figure that out. You'll see right here that landing. She really has a spark and a snap about the way she does her gymnastics. You watch her flick her hands and her wrists.
She's the number 3 returning scorer on vault for the Sooners, averaging over a 9.9 last year. Bailey Lovett will be going next for Arkansas, the freshman from Greensboro, North Carolina. Christy Phillips was her coach in her club training. So a lot of the gymnasts competing today had former greats as their coaches.
On the uneven bars, they're looking for lots of swing, the release moves. There's now a bonus if you do a release move on the same bar, which she did. Most gymnasts do. And of course, a step landing. There was a slight hop forward, so that'll be a deduction, but the rest of the routine was magnificent.
Quick update on the scores there on the bar. Sophia Carter had that 9.675. So once again, 6 athletes go. The best 5 scores count towards the team total. So they'll drop the low one, and they got a good one there. Maggie Nichols, the senior from Little Canada, Minnesota, coming after Anastasia, notched the second 9.9 in a row for the Sooners.
Watch her ability to find this landing.
Oh, my!
I mean, 3 days in a row, right? She just came off scoring at 10 3 days ago.
She has an uncanny ability to find the ground like nobody I've ever seen.
I agree. It's she doesn't even spot it. I mean, she's just in the air. Her body senses it. It's like a cat. Hits the ground, and she's like on the mat.
I don't know what they're going to do with that because there were some terrific 9.9s. There's nowhere to go but up. And there it is.
She did it.
We're seeing 10s.
Wow.
Remember, there are 2 judges. They average their scores, so both judges need to have a 10, and they got it.
And the crowd's going crazy.
2 meets in a row for magnificent Maggie Nichols. A perfect 10 and a huge appreciative crowd here in the Lloyd Noble Center. They're knowing that they're seeing one of the greatest collegiate gymnasts of all time right here, right now. Very exciting.
Exactly. A legend.
Bailey Lovett had a 9.825. Kennedy Handbrake.
You know, it takes a lot of poise to be able to go do your bar routine with all the loud noise and the explosion of the crowd. She's looking for the landing. So close, almost a stick. You can really see the progress Chris Brooks has brought to their program, the technique, the body shaping, also just the extension throughout. Those bigger swings. I love seeing that about Arkansas.
Entirely new coaching staff. That is Chris Brooks, as you mentioned. He is the assistant coach, former OU Sooner. standout. Now, here is that vault you were talking about. This is Evie Schofer. She does an unusual vault. It's the same 1.5 twist, but it's in the tuck position. It looks really unusual.
It does. It actually can be harder to find that landing, believe it or not, when you're twisting. Your knees sometimes get behind you, but she's doing a great job. This was kind of KJ's idea. He's like, hey, let's try this.
It's interesting because Lou Ball is responsible for their outstanding work on the vault, and they have been just superb there. And Evie had a little bit problem bending her knees when they did it laid out, and since the tuck is the same value, they decided, hey, just tuck it and try to land it. But, you know, it's interesting because Lou says, I think the laid out version is actually easier than the tuck version to land, just because of the body position you come into as you try to stick the landing.
It's funny how that works in gymnastics. Something looks easier versus in reality.
Sydney Laird, a bar specialist now for Arkansas, coming after Kennedy Hambrick at 9.875.
Well, look at her toe point and body line and extension. That's exactly what I was talking about. She has big swing. She's hitting those handstands. Look at the knees, just perfectly straight. And just stuck this. Oh, so close.
Great
Those
start.
little hops, you know, they're going to add up too, Bart, and that's what Arkansas is going to have to fine-tune to keep up with a team like the Oklahoma Sooners.
Well, you talk about the tough schedule. I think you mentioned to me they have the second toughest schedule in the country. Arkansas, their first meet, there is Jordan Weaver, the former world all-around champion and Olympic gold medalist. Their first meet was against Florida, second meet against Denver, third meet against Oklahoma. So they have already the first 3 meets of her career pretty darn challenging.
Well, I don't think they'd want it any other way.
Emma LaPinta now in exhibition for the Sooners. Each team is allowed to put up 1 additional athlete to do an exhibition. That score will not count towards the team total. Evie Schofer had their final score of their 6 performances, a 9.85. But to get experience here in these meets, they allow the team to put up an exhibition performance. And Kaylee Gillings will get that call for the bars for Arkansas, coming after Sydney Laird notched a 9.9. So an outstanding start for the visiting team, the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Okay, so you can see this is great experience for her to realize, okay, I missed, you know, if I make a miss, where do I start back my routine? She has such a fantastic body line. What I noticed in warm-ups is their team was rushing the cast a little bit instead of being patient. But look at those legs. They're just glued together. A little shy of the handstand, which is a deduction. Flying full into double back, which also provides bonus for her. It's a good experience, so she might be used in the future. You never know.
And this concludes our first round of competition. So that wraps up the first of 4 rotations. Boy, it's fast and furious here, but a lot of great gymnastics. The Sooners have the lead, and they are expected to win this one today, but what an impressive job for the visiting Arkansas Razorbacks. OU with a 49.525 on vault. Outstanding. Arkansas with a very impressive 49.25 on the bars. They were inconsistent there last year, but off to a great start here today. So we are underway with the #1 Oklahoma Sooners, the reigning national champions. Impressive in that first rotation on the vault.
Guys, is your all-access pass to Sooner Sports. Listen as Toby Rowland and Chris Plank talk all things Sooners. Log on to Soonersports.tv/podcast, presented by Allstate and Riverwind. Air Comfort Solutions, your total home solution for plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. Make the winning call today. Riverwind, still the one.
Here are are the scores after the first of 4 rotations. An impressive start for both teams, actually. The Sooners with a 49-5, 2-5 on vault. And Arkansas with a 49-2-5 on bars. They flip-flop. That means Arkansas moves to the vault, and the Sooners go to the bars. Let's go down to Meg McDonald.
Bart, thanks so much. This is the only event that we will see sophomore Olivia Troutman compete today. Now, she did suffer that heel injury in the Sooner inner squad just this past December, so we will eventually see her hopefully in more events, but this will be the only one today. She did make her season debut just 3 days ago at Alabama, scoring a 9-9, but get this, she has a completely different routine this season than what she did last season. Last season, she did a Tkachev and a shoot over. This season, she does a Maloney and a Pack Salto, guys. Completely different routines, but in my opinion, this routine can score higher than last year's routine, but she'll be second in this lineup today. We'll see how she does.
Thank you, Meg. You heard me mention earlier Jordan Weber, the new coach at Arkansas. I mentioned her accolades, but let's just take a minute to see what an accomplished young woman she is as a world all-around champion, as an Olympic gold medalist, 3-time medalist at the 2011 World Championships, including the coveted all-around gold national championships. Of course, she was a member of the Fierce 5 team. You remember those athletes that won the gold in 2012 in the Olympics. And then, of course, she was a volunteer assistant coach for the last few years at UCLA, and just took over the head coaching position this summer at Arkansas. She's never actually had an official paid coaching position, and yet everyone in the gymnastic community has a great deal of confidence in her ability to step up from a volunteer assistant at UCLA and run a top-notch program at Arkansas. I don't think there's any question that she's the kind of person who can do this, Kelly.
I have no doubt. She is a proven winner as an athlete, as the assistant coach, and now she'll be a winner as a head coach.
First vaulter, just as we saw on the bars, is their senior standout, Jessica Yamzon.
Jessica, you'll notice we'll be doing the Yurchenko laid out full. Just a consistent start. That's what they're looking for, especially as a road scorer. I'd like to see it legs together, tighter in the air. But she'll fine-tune that as the season goes on.
I mentioned some of these athletes that have been coached by former greats. Of course, Jessica Yamzon's from Las Vegas. Cassie Rice was a former Sooner great around your time, Kelly.
Yeah, All-American.
And she has a club out there, and so she coached Jessica. So glad to see her competing here. Anastasia Webb, the leadoff spot for the Sooners on bars now.
I like, wow, nice and high,
That is
Salto. Looking for those good handstands. Toe on, toe off, line, right into this dismount. A new dismount from last year, and she connects it and nails it.
The number 3 returning score for the Sooners on bars averaged a 9-9 all season long last year.
Loves it. She can find that landing. You can see why they added that half twist so they can see the landing. It's much, much easier to stick and land. She does it so nicely.
Back to the vault now for the visiting Arkansas Gymbacks. 9-7-7-5 was the score for Yamzon, and just like you saw on bars now, Kiara Gianfania will be second up.
A beautiful, look at the difference in the height off the table. Also the form in the air is exactly what they're looking for. So each score will progress hopefully and just get a little bit higher, a little bit higher. What a competitive team coming in. They're ranked 19th. It doesn't look like it. They look much higher than that as we watch today.
Olivia Troutman, you heard Meg give the report. This is a new routine for her this season. We weren't sure if we would see her until maybe mid-February because of her broken heel, but she can do the bars, and she opened her season 3 nights ago at Alabama and nailed her bar routine and stuck her landing.
Impressive, having not been able to probably land consistently in practice. Honing in. Let's see if she can do it again right here. Double leg, little hop. You can how she was apprehensive. Her knees started to bend just slightly at the second layout of her double layout. Just having her back in the lineup, giving her the confidence is what she needs to continue on the next few weeks.
Anastasia Webb led the Sooners off on bars with an impressive 9-9. We go back to vault now. Madison Hickey up. Chiara Gianfania a 9.75 before her.
Madison will be doing the same vault. It's nice we can kind of compare. Oops. When she landed, she just piped down a tiny bit, which caused her weight to shift backwards, and she had to take that step backwards.
So after the senior led them off, 2 freshmen in a row for this young team for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Madison Hickey, a freshman from Sycamore, Illinois. Chris Brooks giving her a couple of notes, and boy, that guy, you talk about getting energized. Just spend a few minutes with him. He is one of the most enthusiastic. He's one of the greats, competed for the U.S. many times in national and international competition.
Yes, an Olympian himself.
Carrie Thomas up for the Sooners.
Carrie has really come a long way from her freshman year. She was a freshman at Maryland, transferred, wanted to be part of this winning program, came in and really, I think, was recruited for the balance beam, but has been a rock for the Sooners on the
Wow.
Nailed it.
Coming after the 9.875 from Olivia Troutman, the junior from Coral Springs, Florida. Impressive.
If they stay on track like this, their scores, they could definitely set a record.
He has been an uneven bar specialist at OU. Scores always between 9.8 and 9.925. And that landing was money.
This is Claire Rogers, and Claire's another freshman. Oh, nice height off of the table. You see the energy also from Chris. It's so fun to have a coach who is enthusiastic, giving you that pat on the back, the assurance, the confirmation that you did great.
Nice job for Rogers. She's another freshman, the third one in a row. Madison Hickey, by the way, before her, 9.775. So Arkansas having a lot of fun, but in terms of points, they're losing ground a bit to the impressive Sooners. Jade DeGovea, the senior, coming up now after Carrie Thomas notched a 9.95.
Wow, her line is incredible. Knees, feet. The transition from low bar to high bar and high bar to low bar. She's so clean. You're like, where is the deduction? She can just nail the dismount. And she did!
How about that?
Oh, Lou is so happy. You can see Lou Ball's expression. Just elation.
And she's completely new to the lineup. She had never competed for the Sooners on bars her entire career. They asked her to step in this year. Remember, they're without Brenna Dowell,
Right.
without Nicole Lehrman, so they're without some really outstanding routines. And Jade steps up and delivers.
And very impressive. I can't say enough.
New ball likes it. Sarah Schaefer now for Arkansas.
Oh, I love
Great
that
landing.
vault. I love the way she flares her arms and looks for that landing. It is just gorgeous. And she's kind of like Maggie Nichols. She can find that landing. Not everybody can find a blind landing like that.
Third freshman in a row there. Claire Rogers had a 9.775, and we wait for the score for the redshirt junior, Sarah Schaefer, out of Tyler, Texas, competed all season long in vault, bars, and floor. One of their top returning scores. Here is Reagan Smith, former national team member and member of the World Championship team for the U.S. in her freshman home opener here as an Oklahoma Sooner.
It's nice to see her controlling her emotions when you can step into Lloyd. Number one, it's contagious, isn't it?
How about that? The Sooners are on this afternoon in the Lloyd Noble Center. Look at the joy on the face of young Reagan Smith. She's coming after Jade DeGovea. got the second 9.95 in a row for the Sooners.
You know, we talked earlier on, Bart, will they be flat from having competed just a couple of days ago? The answer is no way, not in my house.
Back to ball for Arkansas.
Another clean Yurchenko full.
Kennedy Hambrick coming after the 9.85 for Sarah Schaefer.
Arkansas is just consistent, steady. Eddie, when they start upping the difficulty on their vaults, the scores are going to be a little more competitive.
3 freshmen in that lineup and 1 sophomore. That was Kennedy Hambrick. So a young team for Arkansas doing a great job. And here is Maggie Nichols, the senior, coming after Reagan Smith's score is only a 9.7.
Makes me wonder if she didn't miss a connection or something.
Excuse me, there is a confusion on the score. We'll update it in a minute. I think the 9.7 is incorrect. Now it comes in as a 9.925. Now we're talking.
Okay, so this was a struggled routine for Maggie. Dismount was great. If you look back through it, it wasn't her best. Out of her pack salto, a little too close to the low bar. I mean, you hate to nitpick, but when we're talking about someone as stellar and fantastic as Maggie, you kind of have to. Dismount again, spot on, perfect landing. But I've seen her do better. It's pretty amazing when her not up to par is probably a 9.9, 9.875. We'll see.
She scored her 19th perfect 10 of her career. She is in the hunt for the most perfect 10s in the history of college gymnastics. That record is 28, held by Jenny Hansen from Kentucky. But so far into this season, the Sooners have just had a few meets, and Maggie already has 2 10s. Jordan Draper, the junior from Bedford, Texas, will be performing in this exhibition spot. Once again, this score will not count for the team total.
What experience this is for this young lady to have to compete in such an electric environment. Let's see. Pack salto, that happens sometimes, not being able to get enough pressure on your hands on the bar.
Scoring for Maggie Nichols, by the way, is a 9.95. So her all-around is pretty impressive with a 10 and a 9.95 in the first 2 events here today in Lloyd Noble Center.
This is why it's a great opportunity for athletes to do an exhibition, just like the Arkansas gymnast earlier. She fell doing her bar routine as an exhibition. It just gives them practice in this environment.
Jordan Draper competed in 13 meets last year for the Sooners on floor, but trying to give her some experience here on the bars. You never know when they'll need her to step up. That's the benefit of the exhibition performance. Under the pressure, under the lights, you get a chance to go through your routine, although it will have no net effect on the team's score.
Well, not every team has the depth to be able to do that either. So sometimes, fortunately, the Sooners do. Probably Arkansas does too, but not every program does.
So we're at the halfway point in this one, and the Oklahoma Sooners, their score 99.2, already on that magical 198 pace. And they lead over Arkansas by nearly a point. Look at that, 49.675 for Oklahoma on the bars and a 49.025.
Rotating at an angular velocity of roughly 600 degrees per second. While she keeps her
Arkansas scores on the ball.
Reagan uses only one leg to push off to the side, rotating 360 degrees on her Z-axis and 360 degrees on her Y-axis in less
So
than
We'll take a break from Lloyd Noble Center. Jordan Weaver and her young team from Arkansas off to a great start, but boy, they have come into the big house because they're taking on a #1 team in the nation that looks really impressive this afternoon. Don't go away. A lot of exciting gymnastics to come from the Lloyd Noble Center when we come back. Take a look at our Air Comfort Solutions score update. There has been a little bit of confusion. There's a new scoring system and a little confusion with the interface with the in-house scoring as well as television. So here are the accurate scores at the halfway point. Arkansas Razorbacks a 49.025 on vault and a 49.25 on bars. The Sooners 49.525 on vault and a 49.675 on bars. So the running score has the Sooners with a 99.2.925 ahead of the visiting Arkansas Gymbacks, as they call them, who have a 98.275. Good on to Meg McDonald.
Bart, thanks. I had a chance to catch up with Oklahoma Associate Head Coach Tom Haley. Asked him what he liked about that vault rotation first and foremost, 49.5 plus for the Sooners. But as you know, Bart and Kelly, following a 10 is actually quite challenging. As hyped as the arena gets, it's not an easy task. So Evie Schofer is actually getting more and more experience following 10s, back-to-back meets for Maggie Nichols for 10s. And Tom Haley actually said that now that she's getting practice, it all comes down to not being distracted because she's prepared. As for bars, the Sooners able to find those landings, those sticks. They are absolutely contagious, guys. I asked him what he likes about that event, and he told me they're not letting this arena kind of get the best of them. They're not trying to be a hero. The banner was raised for the 2019 National Championship, guys. It is distracting, but Tom Haley loves where his mindset of his Sooners are right now.
Thank you, Meg. And there is the banner they raised earlier, the 4th NCAA championship for the Sooners in 6 years. They have dominated this last decade of gymnastics and look to be off to a great start in this new decade. So the Sooners will move to the beam. You saw KJ Kindler giving a few notes. Carrie Thomas first to go for OU here.
Carrie really has a responsibility again, being a starter, setting the tone. Beam can be contagious also.
She only did one beam routine for the Sooners last year, had a 9.825, but she was relied upon for her work on the bars, as we saw earlier.
Perfect landing on her flight series. Looking for this continuous movement, yet a change in rhythm. Required full turn. It's a unique way to do it. Sideways. You'll note later how amazing the choreography is on the floor exercise by Coach Kindler, but she also brings that to the balance beam. Nice aerial into a layout roll, stuck landing. That's exactly those 10s, as we talked about, certainly add up. So every stick is 0.25. That's what it takes to win national championships.
We'll go to the floor for Arkansas, and once again, here is senior from Las Vegas, Jessica Yamzon. She has her streak alive. She's competed in the all-around in every single meet for Arkansas, and here she is in her senior season, and she can be relied upon for that 9.8 plus on all 4 events.
She really has the ability to engage the crowd, and yet has impressive tumbling. Mounted with her double tuck. It's okay if you want to get up and dance. Nice. Second tumbling pass, a double pike. Some of the teams this year are striving to finish their last tumbling pass with a double salto because there is a 1/10 bonus. We'll see what she does for her last pass. But I love that she is enjoying the dance. It's not just a tumbling show. The floor routine needs to include fun dance, beautiful dance, poise, showmanship. All of that's taken into that score. See her coach. Nice. Front full. Front layout, front full. Coach Brooks is just cheering him on in the corner. Love that. You can tell that Coach Weaver loves it too. Just solid. That's exactly what they want, is solid. And that's what they get with Jessica Yamzon.
Here is Jenna Dunn. Did her club training at Bart Connor Gymnastics. Couldn't be more proud of this young lady. She's a walk-on for the OU Sooners, a freshman from Oklahoma City, 2017 Junior Olympic beam champion.
What an opportunity for her. And she has really taken advantage of it. With Olivia Troutman being not on balance beam because of her heel injury earlier. Jenna has stepped right in, and she's been so solid, rock solid.
She's very aggressive.
She is.
Doesn't hesitate through any of her acrobatic skills, does she?
So slight, not quite split enough. It's the only mistake I've seen. Normally the mistake that a person like a mom would see would be just a bobble or a wiggle. But for her, it was just a little bit more split needed. Here's her dismounts, unique dismount, a front laid out full.
By the way, her club coach was Taylor Spears, who is one of KJ Kindler's proteges, and she's a coach now in the NCAA, but Taylor coached Jenna to her JO Junior Olympic National Championship a couple of years ago. Just as the other two events now, second up for Arkansas is Kiara Giamfagna, freshman from Brownsburg, Indiana.
Beautiful double pike.
Jessica Yamzon before her had a 9.8.
Full and a half, right to a front layout. So she's going backwards and then quickly landing and going forward. Nice transition. The judges love seeing combinations like that. It gives them bonus. The change this year, the start value for floor, or for any, balance beam, floor, two-sides, and bars, starts at a 9.4. And then you have to gain 6/10 in bonus, either through difficulty or a combination.
Slight changes in the rule this year. Last year it was at 9.5 was the base score. Now 1 extra tenth of point required. You can get that from dance combinations like that or extra difficulty. And one way to get it is doing a double back at the end of the floor exercise routine. So they reward an athlete who goes for a more difficult skill at the end of the exercise.
We'll see, just like this. And it was a great one. Her chest was up. It takes a lot more endurance, physical endurance, just to have the energy to pull off that double back at the very end. You're just tired after about a minute of dancing
You see
around.
she gets congratulations there from Chris Brooks. I noticed when Chris Brooks was coaching at Nebraska, the women's program, he helped their fitness level a great deal. The gymnasts had a great deal of endurance so they could finish their routines with double backs. And he's doing the same now for Arkansas as we go back to the beam. Carly Woodard is a balance beam specialist, the junior from Overland Park, Kansas, coming after Jenna Dunn had a 9.825.
Being a specialist like this, you have to wait for those first two events. And so you're waiting to perform. And so personally, I think it was easier to be able to stay warm doing the other events. So for Carly, she does a great job of staying in the moment. When it's her time to go, being a specialist, she's ready to go.
Hit 16 of 17 routines last year on beam, averaging 9.92.
She does have a calmness about her. You don't feel anxious as you watch. That's that 180 split that we're looking for.
Seems like an ongoing theme here, but Jackie Flannery was her coaching club, and Jackie was a former star here at Oklahoma and has contributed a great athlete to KJ Kindler's program for Phil.
Well, it's such a legacy that KJ has created, and she's not the only one. There's a lot of head coaches out there that create other coaches who create great athletes. But I love seeing that in our sport. It's just upping the level of gymnastics throughout the country, not just at one school or 4 or 5 schools.
Next up for Katie Henry.
Another look at her dismount. Tiny step. I mean, tiny.
Kennedy Hamrick now up for Arkansas, coming after Kiara Gianfagna had at 9.825.
About that fitness level, you can sure see that in this athlete. I just remember doing floor routines feeling so exhausted by that last pass, and they act like it's just so easy for them. Comes from that training. Oh, how unique. I love that. Very clever. She did a switch leg aerial cartwheel. Rare, not necessarily providing much bonus per se, other than just uniqueness, catches everybody's attention. Woo! Here she goes. That last tumbling pass we just talked about ends with a double pike.
Very high. Nice technique.
Well, you have to think of technique when you're tired, and she did look a touch winded, but she pulled it off easily. I am just so impressed with watching Arkansas. Their difficulty level, their performance ability, I mean, they definitely have it going on.
Carly Woodard for the Sooners had a 9.875. That brings up Anastasia Webb.
Anastasia has a way about her when she performs on the beam. It's very quick, and some athletes just like to take their time, be more poised, but this works for her. It's very crisp and clean. Anastasia is one of the few gymnasts that has scored a 10 on balance beam.
Number 2 returning score on beam, averaging 9.925 last year. Ooh, good save.
It was a nice save.
You mentioned she moves quickly. How did you prefer to do beam? With more...
I want to say just my natural state, but I would have to say mine wasn't quite as quick as this. It actually probably looks better because as long as you're on, you know, if you're off, you're going to probably be on the floor. I think you just have to find the right style for each athlete. That's one thing that Coach Kindler does really well. Not her best routine. She was a little bit off to the side on that dismount, rushing the aerial, going into the back full. But you know what? She stayed on. It was a learning lesson.
Sarah Schaefer.
It's funny how they can do these difficult tumbling skills and then bobble on something as simple as like a leap. Here's the dismount. You can tell just a little bit off to the side. That is a deduction.
Sarah Schaefer beginning her floor routine for Arkansas. 9.85 was the score for Kennedy Hamrick.
You can really, they're just skying their double pikes. And I agree, Bart. I think it's a tribute to their conditioning and the technique, thanks to Coach Brooks. You know, we talk about the KJ coaching and these women coaching gymnasts, but Mark Williams has also been doing the exact same thing, bringing coaching these Olympic male gymnasts, and then they're turning around and coaching. So it's really just upping the game and the level and the quality and the safety of gymnastics.
Schaefer, the redshirt junior from Tyler, Texas, the number 2 returning scorer on the floor from last year, averaged 9.875.
So great routine going. So she does a twisting combination pass, which also provides bonus. It's a different type of bonus. Great routine.
She hasn't been in the floor lineup so far this year, so good experience for her under the guidance of Jordan Weber. You talk about guidance. There's something about KJ Kindler who gives these athletes this sort of superpower before they go up. I don't know exactly what she tells them, but few teams have showed such consistency as the Sooners on beam as we take a look at young freshman Reagan Smith. Anastasia Webb, 9.8. Her only performance today that was just a little bit off.
Reagan is so good. It's one of her very best events, and you can tell the difference in her face when she mounts. She's like, I'm good at this event. Pull up. You know, she doesn't rattle or just, I mean, a hair off. Grandma wouldn't have known that that was a hair off, but us gymnasts, we know, and she just stays calm, pulls it right back in line. Clean. No panic, dances right out of it. She's going to be a superstar for this team.
Oh,
Beautiful. Wow.
She really shines on beam. For those of you who aren't quite familiar with her story, national champion in the all-around, member of the U.S. team, alternate to the Olympic team in 2016. And she was poised to win the all-around at the 2017 World Championships. Sprained her ankle in the last moments of warm-up and had to sit out. So a disappointment that she wasn't able to win that gold, which is, she was a heavy favorite to do so, but she is elected to come to Oklahoma under the guidance of KJ Kindler, and I think you're right. I think she's going to be a superb collegiate gymnast.
She will, and you know what I'm going to call it now? This girl will score a 10 on balance beam at some point in her career here. I wouldn't be surprised if it was this year. Each meet, she gets better and better.
This is Bailey Lovett, Sarah Schaefer before her, a 9.825.
Wow, gosh, holy moly, a nice, beautiful double layout. Different technique than sometimes you see is really using her chest and pulling it around.
Once again, another freshman on this young team.
That's what's so exciting too, Bart, is to know how many freshmen look dynamite now, and once they get fully engaged and understanding this college life and with the coaching staff, they are going to be hard to beat.
You see that brace on her left elbow. She tore her UCL ligament in her elbow. And so that brace gives her a little extra support in training and competition. That injury happened in the preseason.
You know, they have a new choreographer when Coach Weaver came to Arkansas. She encouraged and brought this team with her, bringing in Chris Brooks, bringing in Caitlin Orrell.
Wow.
That right there is that, I just keep screaming, Chris Brooks, you know, and
It's amazing how high their double backs are.
Absolutely, and they're landing. Do you notice that soft, that knee bend as they land? It's a little bit unusual. Normally it's kind of a, you know, a tighter, quicker landing. They're really absorbing into the floor, probably just not to rebound out.
All scores 9-8 to 9-8-5 for Arkansas on floor. Respectable scores as we go back to the beam. Of course, this is Maggie Nichols. 2 times in her career, she scored what is known as the Gym Slam, which is a perfect 10 on all 4 apparatus. Sometime during a collegiate season, she did that in 2017 and 2018. And as we saw earlier tonight, now had 19 perfect 10s to her incredible collegiate career.
You know, they are having to fight through their landings a little bit. But what I know Coach Kindler is going to be happy about is their effort. They're staying in and not panicking. So because that's what a true champion does. It's never just perfect on the money all the time when you land or even in the air.
For her, Reagan Smith notched in 9.875 for the Sooners. This is the final performer for this team on beam in the third rotation. Oklahoma with a solid team lead.
You can tell she's ready to get off a little bit on this routine. You know, when you make that one mistake, you want to have a do-over.
What is it about her and those landings?
Okay, if we can figure out what Coach Kindler says before the competitions or the routine, and then how Maggie sticks every landing, we really have something.
Oh, good finesse on that.
Yeah.
Little balance check. You know, this is a combination of good power and just great technique. Simple as that.
True.
Now, our feet are a little far apart. If they're
Farther than what I would like.
shoulder width,
Yeah.
and if you can move your heels together without moving your balls of your feet, you technically stuck the landing in college. And let's face it, in college they give him the benefit of the doubt.
True. Well,
Sophia
and she's
Carter.
good enough to not have to do that, but it's a convenience. It's comfortable.
Bailey Lovett before her a 9.85. So this is the final performer in the lineup for Arkansas on the floor.
Okay, combination pass. Front laid out full. Immediate front laid out full.
It's one of those 3/10 bonus combination passes. That's a new rule this year.
Choreographer was telling me this theme of this floor routine is saving the world. You know, it's like there's a ticking time bomb. It's so helpful when coaches, choreographers give them a theme to be able to emulate and perform throughout.
And this feels like saving the world
Doesn't it?
music. It's big movie score.
Ooh, such a high double.
Wow.
Impressive. The back handspring was a little high, and normally that's not what you want going into your double pipe. Oh, so this is a perfect example of the two-pass floor routine. Got to be a pretty good dancer to pull that off, too.
Now this is exciting. Vanessa Denise now, she's going to go in the exhibition spot for the Sooners. A lot of expectations for this young gymnast to see when she will work her way into the lineup for Oklahoma. Just a freshman from New Jersey.
Vanessa, like most freshmen, they have to figure out the game in the competition. She is stellar in practice. Just being able to not let the nerves rattle her. That was spot on. Perfect.
By the
Very
way, the
hard.
score for Maggie Nissels, was a 9.975.
Okay, so she too is working through some of these minor mistakes. Great experience. Front aerial, clean. Just hitting a routine in competition, it can only get better. Gives you such confidence to know you can do it.
Yeah, you can see clearly a good deal of potential for Vanessa Denise, and a great opportunity in front of a very large crowd here at the Lloyd Noble Center to get some experience. But look at that, 49-4 is the team score for the Sooners on beam in that third rotation, as Denise gets a few more notes from KJ Kindler in her 14th season. Madison Hickey is the exhibition performer for Arkansas, coming after the 9.9 for Sophia Carter.
Started with a double pike, pretty common element. A lot of times you might think, oh, could she maybe make it harder, do a full end? They usually try to save those elements for later in the season. Timing was a touch off. Looks like a fun routine. You can tell she's still thinking through it. As they get better, more experience, they're going to enjoy their tumbling a little bit, or their floor routine a little bit more. Okay, good. Ins double top. Great accomplishment. You can see she kind of relaxed finally and started to smile. It's always a telltale sign.
Okay, that brings to close the third of 4 rotations. You see a nice job capped off by a 9-9 for Sophia Carter for the floor scores for visiting Arkansas. Oklahoma holds the lead after a 49-4 on beam. Their high score there, not surprisingly, is Maggie Nichols with a 9.975. So the Sooners have a lead of about a point, 1.075, as the athletes take their one-touch warm-up for the final rotation. Once again, KJ Kindler's beam team is just money. So the fourth and final rotation here from the Lloyd Noble Center. When we come back, we got some great gymnastics going today. Here are the Kincaid coach event scores update. Here the team scores. The Oklahoma Sooners with a 148.6 over the Arkansas Razorbacks, 147.525. I think both teams very happy with their efforts so far today. The Sooners a heavy favorite to win this. They lead by more than a point. However, the young team from Arkansas really doing a respectable job here. Both of these teams competed just 3 days ago on Friday night and have 3 meets in a period of about 7 days total. So what a demanding way to start the season, and we're off to a good start as we get set to the final rotation here. The Sooners will be on the floor, and the Arkansas gym backs, as they call them, will be on the beam. Here are the season averages so far. Talk about the tough schedule that Arkansas had. They had Florida in their first meet. They had Denver in their second meet. And now they're going up against the #1 ranked Oklahoma Sooners. So they're taking on 3 of the 4 best teams in the country. Of course, that schedule was set by the former coach, Mark Cook. And he retired this year after 17 seasons and turned the program over to Jordan Wheeler. Let's go down to Meg McDonald.
As you know, it is no easy task for NCAA gymnasts to compete 2 times in a matter of a couple days, especially for some of these seniors. One could also argue that being 22, 23, you're pretty much over the hill in the sport of college gymnastics. It is very difficult on their bodies to compete at that age. So with that being said, Maggie Nichols will be downgrading her floor routine here today in that anchor position. She will normally compete 3 tumbling passes. She will only do 2 tumbling passes today. She's able to use that code to fill all the necessary requirements. And guys, it's just a way for her to save her body early in the season.
Thank you, Meg. Man, if you're over the hill at 22, what about you and me, Kelly?
I know, right?
That's kind of brutal.
I kind of thought so, but I thought I'll just keep it to myself. Talk to Meg later.
Meg, we're giving you a hard time. It is true that one of the things they've had to do with the OU Sooners is manage Maggie Nichols' legs, because she's had a bone bruise on her knee and several other sort of nagging injuries throughout her career. And I think the Sooners have done a brilliant job with her, because they have, even last year, they didn't put her in the all-around to the end of the season. She stepped up, did a floor routine, and won her 2nd consecutive national championship. So they know, how to manage her, although to her credit, Maggie Nichols does not like to be on the sidelines.
No, I agree.
They've sat her down a couple of times, and she's not happy about it, even though she realizes it's probably for the betterment of resting her body, because it is a long season. They're competing every week now.
Got to be smart sometimes.
Jessica Yamzon first up for Arkansas on the beam. She's led off on all the events today, the senior from Las Vegas. And she's had a really solid day. Those are scores you can expect from her every time, in that 9-8 range. And it's so important, especially for that first performance on the beam, to show this kind of confidence. It really sets the tone for the rest of the lineup, Kelly.
Well, to do a triple series, she looks confident, so calm. And the rest of the team, especially freshmen, are really looking at her for leadership and couldn't have a better leader. And the one thing is, next year, who's that Jessica gonna be?
That's a good point. I just think she's fantastic because as a senior, and she's probably earned the right to be later in the lineup, and yet they put her up first. She sets the tone for the team, and she can be relied upon. Never missed the meet for Arkansas in her collegiate career, and she's done all around every single time.
Wow. Just physically, that's so hard.
Jordan Draper, leadoff spot for the Sooners on floor. Junior from Bedford, Texas.
Jordan is definitely better conditioned this year than last. She's also not only in better shape, condition, endurance-wise, but I think her confidence level is, she knows she deserves to be there. She's increased value in some of these bonus combinations. Her form is getting better. She's always had the ability to play to the crowd, the personality. That's always been there. You can't take that out of her. But I love that she is working on the areas that she needed to be that first girl up and to start with a 9.85 or a 9.9.
The junior from Bedford, Texas. Boy, there are so many good club programs. She did Empire Gymnastics for her club training in Texas. It's amazing. You could field an outstanding collegiate team and never have to recruit outside of Texas.
And yet they don't have a Division I, college gymnastics program.
There's no explanation for that. Hard to believe that they're not a major university in Texas with a university program as good as those club gymnasts are.
We'll take it. The Sooners will definitely take advantage of that opportunity. Here's that last pass. Slight leg crossing in the twist, but we're watching it in slow-mo.
Kiara Gianfana now, the freshman, all day long. She has followed Yamzon in that second spot. Yamzon, by the way, really solid 9.825 to start off Arkansas on beam in this final rotation.
I'll tell you what, she does not appear as a freshman to me. She just looks so at ease and prepared and confident. Most freshmen have this little, just a slight tiny fear in their eye or unsure, and not her. Oh, nice save. You just got to trust their training. I hear a lot of coaches say that trust your training, just do what you do in practice.
You hear the driving music in the background. Keep in mind that music is not a part of the performance on beam. They play it as background music for the spectators, but I don't know, does it help you or hurt you to hear that driving
I thought it
music?
helped because you didn't hear the babies crying in the stands or somebody yelling, hey, Billy, go!
Okay, looking forward to this performance from Reagan Smith. A couple of nights ago in Oklahoma, went to Alabama. She stumbled a little bit in her second tumbling pass. She's better than that, and we're going to see her shine here, I feel, today. She's had a good day.
Yes.
9.925 on bars and a 9.875 on beam.
Yeah, she's just a little rosebud. I can just see her bloom.
You see the score for Jordan Draper. Led them off with a 9.9. The Sooners on base for another 198 score coming after the 198.25 away Alabama Friday night. That's the highest score in the nation so far for any team.
That's the pass she had a little bit of trouble with and
nailed
nailed it. Yeah, perfect. Bet you'll start seeing a smile now.
Freshman from Louisville, Texas, did her club training at Texas Dreams under the legendary Kim Zemeskel-Burdett and her husband, Chris. Kim, of course, the 1991 World All-Around Champion. And she has created many national team members and high-level collegiate athletes. And great to see Reagan Smith thriving as a young freshman here for the Sooners.
How did she pull that off? You know, you kind of forget she's 4'11", so but sometimes you think, oh, that didn't seem so high. Okay, good job. Another hit for team.
Her home debut, young Reagan Smith. Big expectations for this young lady.
Next on the balance beam for Arkansas.
Olympic alternate, world gold medalist, and now a legit Oklahoma Sooner. Back to the beam now.
I love that mount. I love it.
Did you ever try it?
No, but the fact that she does it in college, I mean, having been the gymnast who did the crazy mount, I love that she does something so unique. So many gymnasts just kind of swing their leg over.
Kiara Gianfana had a 9.65 after the 9.825 for Jessica Iemzon.
That's quite the bonus combination. It's also what is considered her flight series, so it has to be combined. To pick something so difficult and yet needed to be a requirement shows a lot of courage. You know, I think they're going to start working on those landings. I mean, that's one area I see with Arkansas that could really pick up tenths. I mean, if they had stuck every vault, every bar, every beam, you know, we would be seeing a different score right now.
Reagan Smith had a 9.875 after Jordan Draper led the Sooners off with a 9.9. That brings up Emma LaPinta. Competed 9 meets for the Sooners last year as a freshman.
This girl can tumble. Triple twist. I'd like to see a little more control on the landing.
You don't see a lot of triple fulls on floor in collegiate competition.
That's true. And you know, you would think it would be easier with just because you're only flipping one time in the air. But those rotations, yeah. She's really starting to come into her own on floor. She was so needed last year, I think, for her difficulty, and yet her performance ability was so-so, and she's really come along. Of course, I have no doubt that Coach Kendall would make sure that happened.
Did her club training with Kurt Thomas, the first world champion for the United States men's gymnastics program back in 1978, and the club down in the Dallas area.
It amazes me every time I watch that last tumbling pass because of her set. It's pretty short, and she can just rotate so quickly. Another great routine.
Kurt Thomas and his wife Becky run a great program down there, and so I know they're excited to have Emma competing for the Sooners. Bailey Lovett, 9.9. She was rewarded for her work on the beam, and that's a career high. And that brings up Kennedy Hambrick.
Kennedy has been competing in the all-around this year, and it's ranked 31. Just a slight bobble.
It's true, they have 3 all-arounders typically on the team, so that means that
They're kind of
half
carrying
of
the
the
weight,
scores
yeah.
come from 3 athletes.
It's a lot of pressure, and not only that, it's not just the pressure, but they have to be healthy. They have to stay healthy all year.
It means they're only using 9 or 10 athletes out of their complete roster to contribute scores for the team. And half of the scores come from 3 gymnasts, Gianfania, Hambrick, and Yamzon.
I love how she just floats that gator pull off the side so high. So easy to find the landing on that.
And competing next on the floor for Oklahoma, Jade Dagovea.
Score update for Emma LaPinta. That's a 9-9. That's a career high tie for her. And this is an intense routine from Jade Dagovea. I love it. Interesting music, unusual choreography. It just seems fitting for this young lady.
It's just fierce. I mean, that's just the best way to describe her. You know, she's such a competitor. Perfectionist. It sounds good, but sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. She uses her long lines, great technique to get her sky high.
Oliver Tumbling is front tumbling. Last year, she was the Big 12 event specialist of the year.
Again, this amazes me how Coach Kendler can see this in an athlete and then create these routines year after year that seem to match their personality and their ability.
She said this year she choreographed 14 new routines, and she's maxed out because every piece has to be unique and special to that individual.
All right, last pass. Another combination tumbling pass. Just solid. Just solid, solid, solid.
Scores for the Sooners have been really strong on floor. 2 9-9s and a 9-8-7-5. As we go back to beam, Kennedy Hambrick, a 9-7-5, and this brings up Sophia Carter. You see her scores from the other 2 events she did today. Junior from Blue Springs, Missouri, did her club training at Great American Gymnastics Express, which, like Zemeskel's program, Texas Dreams, has contributed so many top athletes to national team and collegiate competition.
You definitely know what you're going to be getting.
Competed in beam and floor every meet in 2019. And the #1 returning score on both of those events for Arkansas.
And you can see why she's just at ease, and she has such a nice way about her. She dances. I love her arms. Smooth, comfortable. And I'm not so sure if she was supposed to tuck or not, but maybe it was smart. Maybe she knew something that we didn't know. It's hard to tell from that angle, but sometimes when you miss your foot, you're like, hey, I need a little more rotation. I better tuck this.
Jade Dagovea for the Sooners had a 9-8-5. Final 2 performers. Look at the day Anastasia Webb has had. And this routine is just outstanding. Talk about something that is completely unusual and unique, and I love the music.
She just draws you in. She's and so engaging. Make it look easy, doesn't she? Just has that cute little smirk. She doesn't even mean to be cute out there. Beautiful. see the hips rise as she goes into those tumbling passes, showing the amplitude. That is the one area of her routine every time. And I just think she just doesn't allow it to happen. She's trying to be so tight, she doesn't allow the legs to get all the way up.
Wow.
But everything else is remarkable.
And another routine with exclusively front tumbling. You're not required in collegiate competition to do both back and front tumbling. And her combination of front tumbling and twisting, flipping skills is impressive and earns a lot of bonus points. Sophia Carter had a 9.8, and the final performer here now for Arkansas on beam, Sarah Schaefer.
Sarah has a great line about her. We noticed that earlier when we watched her running bars. You know, it's so nerve-wracking to have to finish on balance beam at a dual meet. You know, it's part of the game because you never know what you're going to draw at a major competition where you might start on floor exercise and have to end on balance beam. The Sooners have had to do that several times. UCLA had to do that when they won nationals, and boy, howdy, did they pull it off. Like a perfect example. So this is good experience, even though I think for the gymnast, it's not your favorite rotation order.
Sarah Schaefer, the redshirt junior, her high score on beam this year so far is only an 8.875, so she'll be happy with that effort. Normally she's very strong. Her career high on beam is 9.9, so I know there's a lot of focus on the Oklahoma Sooners hanging their NCAA banner and the magnificent athletes from OU, but Arkansas has done a really high-level quality gymnastics job today. I think they should be very proud as we take a look at Maggie Nichols wrapping it up for the Sooners on floor. Anastasia Webb had a 9.925. And you see the kind of day that Maggie Nichols is having. What a weekend this young lady has had so far. And it ain't over.
You can tell she's really enjoying this routine because it's actually a little bit easier. Wow. Right when I say easier, she pulls that off.
Yeah, this is a two-pass routine today. A little bit different choreography than she even used against Alabama Friday night. There's her second tumbling pass, the pike double. There are no requirements to do more than 2 tumbling passes as long as you can get all the requirements in.
She's such a joy to watch. She loves gymnastics. She's enjoying her senior year. You know, she really has the whole package because she can tumble, she can dance, she can smile, and she can be perfect.
Oh, look at her performing for her teammates. How nice. She started her day with a perfect 10 on vault. And the Sooners have 3 scores, 9-9 or better on floor. Let's see what the judges do with that. This is that pass, the 1.5 front layout step out. Oh, spectacular.
Perfect. She's perfect to watch. If you're a young gymnast out there, take note. I just love that this is how her last year is going.
KJ takes the
Your
microphone.
team wants to thank you for coming out today and filling the stands. What an amazing turnout. Thank you so much. We're so excited to see you back again on January 31st against Iowa State University. We'd like to thank the University of Arkansas for coming to Norman. Thank you. And we want to remind you, it makes a difference when you're in the stands. So thank you so much for your support. Boomer Sooner!
Terrific crowd on hand in Lloyd Noble Center. And the Sooners over 198 for the second meet in a row. They're one of the few teams in the country that have had, in fact, they're the only team in the country that had 10 198s in a season. And they'll be over 198 today. We have a 198.175 is the unofficial score at this point, because the score in for Maggie Nichols is a 9975, meaning one judge gave a 995 and the other gave a 10. Looks like the score for Arkansas is a 196.55, their second highest score of the year, and I think they should be quite proud of their efforts. So a great competition here on Martin Luther King Jr. Day in the Lloyd Noble Center. And what a display of excellence from the Oklahoma Sooners. We'll be back to wrap this one up from Norman.
Autographs, and we have the Orange Theory Fitness class here on the floor. Drive home safe, and we'll see you right back here in the Lloyd Noble
Here are the Taco Mile final scores. Respectable performance from the Arkansas Razorbacks. 49.025 on vault, 49.25 on bars, 49.025 on beam, and another 49.25 on floor. Their second highest score of the year, but their highest away score. So a nice job for the visiting Razorbacks and the Oklahoma Sooners for the second time this weekend over 198, and that is sort of the magic score in collegiate gymnastics. Look at those scores. The lowest team score a 49.4 on beam, the highest score a 49.675 on bars. And Meg is with KJ Kindler now.
Bart, thanks so much. KJ, back-to-back 10s on vault for Maggie Nichols. What can you say about this athlete in her senior year?
She just wants lots of 10s. You know, she's working at every single routine, not just on vault, but super impressive to do it back-to-back. Her feet did not move an inch. She deserves it, but she's like pushing the envelope on every event. She's chasing something, I think.
2 meets in one weekend, 2 198s. What are you most impressed with your team this early on in the season?
Honestly, I'm most impressed with the fact that they came back today after a really high-intensity meet at Alabama and were able to put it all together. You know, they showed no fatigue. They were very focused, dialed in. It's hard to do 2 meets in one weekend, so I was most impressed with their endurance and their ability to just put it out there 2 times in a row so close together.
The 2019 National Championship banner was raised to the rafters forever in the Lloyd Noble Center today. How special was this meet for you?
It was amazing because we didn't tell the team about that at all. So when they started to do it, the team was, I could tell they were just all juiced up. So I was really excited that it did that for them. I'm glad I didn't tell them. I'm not sure if I did that because I forgot or because I thought it would be great, but it worked out in my favor, I think. So anyway, when they raised that banner, you just get the goosebumps all over again because it was such an amazing year. But they know that they have, you know, a new challenge this year, a new journey, and we're on with it.
AJ, great meet. Congrats.
Thank you.
Bart, we'll send it back to you.
Meg, and congratulations to KJ. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from this spectacular afternoon here in the Lloyd Noble Center.
There's that perfect 10. Every time she is money in the bank. This is a nice shot of Jay DeGavea, a key player, nailing the dismounts. Really what made a difference in getting that 198 today is all the stuck landings on the uneven bars. Here is Jenna Dunn, another rock for the Sooners, filling in and really just bringing her game. Right here is our superstar to be, Reagan Smith. Not only was she great internationally, but now she's going to be a national great legend in college. Emma LaPenta, she knows how to bring it. She's a tumbling wizard. Triple twist and double tuck. Exactly what they're looking to to do this year.
So a terrific day of gymnastics all in. Let's say Maggie Nichols had a 39.9 in the all-around. Her high score of all all-arounds is 39.925 by .025, just under her career best. But a great day. The Sooners again over 198. And what can you say about the Arkansas Razorbacks? I mean, they've had a tough start to the season. They've gone against Florida, Denver, and now Oklahoma in their first 3 meets. But I'm really impressed with this young team. And, of course, you know, everybody's big supporters of Jordan Weber as the new head coach there. And we wish them well. I think they did a nice job today.
I thought they were amazing. I thought both teams really brought their game in and they accomplished what they wanted to accomplish. I look forward to watching Arkansas, seeing how well they do. Of course, the Sooners, they know where their head is, that national championship. But I think Arkansas could be that team, the new team that starts sneaking into the Super Six. So we're going to keep our eyes out for them.
All right, there's a lot of upcoming events you want to watch out for. The MetroPet Challenge, the Sooners will be in that meet on January 25th, and they'll be back home against Iowa State, and then at TWU, and then versus TW and West Virginia back in Norman. Then there's the Perfect 10 Challenge, by the way, on February 21st. That's up in Oklahoma City at the Cox Arena, and we hope you join us for that one as well. So a lot of great gymnastics coming up, featuring the #1 Oklahoma Sooners. They get the second 198 of the season, and the team that has won 4 of the last 6 national championships looks on target and poised to try to win another one. They hoisted the banner for the Sooners tonight in the Lloyd Noble Center. And we saw great performances from both teams visiting Arkansas Gymbacks, but today it was all the Sooners. And whenever you talk about Maggie Nichols, you just talk about Perfect 10s. Congratulations to the team. For Kelly Garrison.